Don't ever have another man hold you accountable for what you want to accomplish in your life. Don't ever have another man, hey, did you get your workout today? Did you go as hard as you should have? Did you eat? Did you hit your macros? Did you eat the amount of protein you're supposed to? Like, you should be holding yourself accountable. Don't ask somebody else to do it. It's your goals. It's your dream, your life. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the From Boys to Men show, brought to you by the Squire Program. I'm your host, Lheyton Cook, and today we're going to talk about the rules to live by. Now, in the Squire Program, there's a section where the dads are separated from the sons, and they have different classroom settings or sessions that they're going to be going off of. And with the boys, they learn about these rules to live by. There's 30 of them, but today we're going to talk about 5 of them. And maybe we'll make it like a series or something where we'll kind of go through each of the 30. But today we only have 5. And I think this is important to discuss because there was a viral video. Maybe you guys even saw it, right? It was Bedros, the founder of the Squire Program, talking about who you choose as a wife is the most important thing, the most important decision you're going to make ever in your life. And it went super viral. A lot of people who loved it, a lot of men that loved it, a lot of women that didn't really like it, you know what I'm saying? But then there's some people that agree with it. And so it just went super viral, man. Everyone, we're getting a lot of attention for it is my whole point. And so that was one point that he hit on, but I want to talk about 5 other ones that I think are also as equally as important. And especially if you want to be a man that garners more respect, this is what you must do. So pay close attention. Number 1 is stop being so needy and validation seeking and looking for approval. You're a man. Now, why is this so important? Because a man doesn't need to go and seek for approval or validation from another man. Like, it doesn't, like, you're supposed to be your own leader. You're supposed to be the king of your own castle, and nobody else should matter, right? And so that's number 1. Now, why is that so important? Because I see so many men nowadays that feel like they need to get approval from other men, like where it's, whether it's, with the way that they look, the way that they dress, the way that they talk. We kind of have these different molds. We're trying to fit in, and there needs to be less of that, right? I get it, how it makes sense. We're all in a cohesive society. We need to fit in to an extent. Like, we need to, get along with each other, but you don't need to be like each other. You don't need to look like each other. You don't need to sound like each other. You don't even have to have, all of the same core values as each other. We're all different. So stop seeking for approval and putting these, other men on a pedestal. Let me give you one example. In the project, the Modern Day Night Project, the men program that basically created the Squire Program, in the beginning of the class, or actually I should say all throughout the class, throughout the whole 75 hours of the men just getting beat up and whooped on, and then also taught in the classroom, they call Bedros, the founder, they call him Instructor Bedros, right? That's how they go, or they say sir, right? Instructor Bedros or sir. Now, Bedros goes along with it. He's like, hey, I would prefer you call on me, right? But then after you graduate, or I should say, if you graduate, I'm no longer Instructor Bedros. I'm not sir. Just call me B, right? Just call me B. And the reason being is because I don't want you to ever, put me on this pedestal or make me look like, I'm the hero, or I'm this social media celebrity, this guru. Just call me B. We're peers now. We're friends. We're brothers, and we're on the same level. Don't look at me as better than you or any of that, right? We're peers. And there needs to be more of that. They're obviously men. We are creatures of respect. Like, we want respect, and that means we must give respect. But you don't need to put another man on a pedestal or seek his approval. And so that's really important. Now, number 2, leadership is always the problem. Leadership is always the solution. So that means you must level up and lead. And I have a story for you when it comes to that, because a personal story, I should say. This was something that was so important to me. When I heard it, it made sense, because I was like, man, I needed that in my own life, in my own marriage, right? When I first got married, for actually the first couple of years, I had an issue of being the right leader that I was supposed to be, or showing up as the right leader I was supposed to be. I'll give you an example of what that looked like. And it was, being afraid to kind of rock the boat. Like, if I had something on my mind that I knew I should have communicated about, I would communicate about it. But if it wasn't received the way that I felt that it should have been, or maybe, I feel like we didn't have the right type of conversation, it would just bother me. It'd fester inside, and I wouldn't really be able to get it out. I'd kind of hold it in. I was like, well, I don't want to, look like to be honest, I don't look like a little pussy, like always complaining and having things that, let's communicate. Like, that's how it made me feel, right? And so I was struggling and showing up as the right leader, right? ultimately what I needed to do was open my mouth, get it all out, discuss it like adults, and then you can move on. You can find a solution, and then move on. But I was struggling doing that, and it came down to my wife and I had a conversation. Actually, it was like breakthrough conversation at the kitchen table one time, where I admitted that because I grew up with just my mom, that I was being a little bit more feminine than I should have been being, right, and being more of my feminine energy. And she admitted, she was like, well, I grew up with a dad that was cheating and doing all this stuff and really wasn't around, and so. My mom always told me, don't ever let a man talk to you like this. Don't let him do this. And, so I kind of grew up being hard and trying to, protect myself, but really end up pushing people away. And so I was being a little bit more masculine. And so we had this breakthrough was like, we just were operating in different roles. And I believe that the man should be the leader. There's going to be people that disagree with that. There are obviously some situations where the woman should lead. She might be better in a few things, but the majority of time, I believe the man should be a leader. Fight me on it. I don't really care. That's just what I believe. So get over it. But leadership is always the problem. Leadership is always the solution. So you need to show up as a man, show up as a leader, show up with a solution. It's something as simple as, instead of asking, what they want to eat, show up with a solution. Hey, let's go here. Do you want to go here? Yes, no. Okay, cool. If they don't want to go there, then pick another thing. But show up with a solution. That's a really easy example of showing up as a leader. Have a solution or have a path or a game plan, right? Number 3, ego is your enemy. It creates blind spots and gives you an emotional limp. Ego being your enemy could be something like, maybe you've heard the term ego lifting. When you see these guys in the gym where you look at them and they're lifting a certain weight, where you're like, bro, damn well you shouldn't be lifting that weight, bro. It's little, look like me, bro. Look like me trying to curl 50s or something. It's not going to work. I'd have to literally swing the weight. I have horrible form. I look like I have no business using that kind of weight. Or, it looked like me where I'm on the bench and I'm trying to bench, 325 or something crazy, right? And I need 3 different spotters, one on one side, one on the other side, one right above me. I should not be lifting that weight. But my ego is telling me I gotta look cool. I gotta look like I can push heavy weight. You're not meant to push that weight, so don't do it. Don't try it. And so ego is your enemy. You're going to get yourself freaking killed, bro. You're going to get crushed by those weights and end up snapping something off. So that's an example of not leading with an ego that way. And that's obviously important because I talk about that all the time, how your ego can get you in a lot of trouble. Your ego can lead you in directions or down paths where it's paths of destruction. Right? And so ego is your enemy. It creates blind spots and gives you an emotional limp. So make sure you pay attention to that. Number 4, establish your core values, moral character, and hold yourself accountable. Now, the first two, let's address those first. Establish your core values and moral character. What does this mean? I believe every man needs to have a list of core values that he goes by, that he lives his life by. Whether that means that, hey, I'm a man of my word. Sounds like it's a project, part of the project creed. I make a promise and I keep it, right? You have all these different things that, you follow, you go by, right? Or maybe you say, hey, I never hit the snooze button. That's just something I don't do. Or, I treat people with respect. Whatever it is, establish your core values and how you want to actually carry yourself. And maybe these are things that you don't even do yet, you're still working on getting better with. But the fact of the matter is you need to create an outline of the type of man that you want to show up to be. Write down different qualities, mark down different habits and qualities that you like to inhabit yourself. And then you have an actual roadmap, a roadmap you can look at on paper of what you should and shouldn't do. And that way it gives you a clear vision of how to become that person. And the last part of that sentence, hold yourself accountable. The most important, for 2 reasons. Because without accountability, you're not going to get anywhere. It's impossible. You're not going to make any kind of progress if you don't hold yourself accountable. But to zoom in and focus on the word yourself. It's very important for you yourself to hold yourself accountable because you can't expect anybody else to hold you accountable. I remember I asked Bedros for advice one morning a couple months ago. No, actually, it was longer than that. It was maybe a year and a half ago. It doesn't really matter. But I asked him for this advice. And it says, dude, I got to get better, man. I got to get better. I got to, take my life more seriously. I got to get in better shape. I got to make more money. I got to do all this stuff, right? I said, would you mind holding me accountable? I need someone like you, man. Someone like you to hold me accountable. You already have the life. You're already making hundreds of millions. You already have the physique. You have the awesome family. You get to travel. People love listening to what you have to say. Can you hold me accountable? And I remember he sent me a voice message back and I was almost confused. I thought he was going to say, hell yeah, bro, I got you. I'll hold you accountable for sure. But he sends me a voice message back. He says, Lheyton, don't ever have another man hold you accountable for what you want to accomplish in your life. Don't ever have another man, be like, hey, did you get your workout today? Did you go as hard as you should have? Did you eat? Did you hit your macros? Did you eat the amount of protein you're supposed to? Bro, are you for real? Like, you should be holding yourself accountable. Don't ask somebody else to do it. It's your goals. It's your dream, your life. You're doing it for your family. Why am I going to hold you accountable? I have my own stuff to take care of and hold myself accountable for. And so that was a pivotal moment for me where I was like, man, the way you explained it, I said, that makes sense. Like, I never thought of it that way. I just thought of it as like, having a friend hold me accountable. But the way he explained it, he said, nah, man, like, you're your own king of your own castle, your own life. You want to gift your family with your own type of experiences. The accountability should come from you, is what he was saying. And so very important. So hold yourself accountable when you establish your core values and moral character. Now, last, number 5 on the list is when you make a promise, keep it. In other words, being a man of your word is the most important thing ever. I can't respect a man that doesn't keep his word, because you don't know what he's going to do. He's unpredictable. He told you one thing. He told you he's going to show up at this time, and he didn't show up at the time he said he was going to. Or maybe he didn't show up at all. Even worse. But I can't respect a man that doesn't keep his word. It's crazy. And this stuck with me because I remember I was maybe like 6 or 7 years old. Or maybe I was like 7 or 8. Somewhere around there. It was early stages of my life. And I remember I was on the phone with my dad. My dad, of course, being where he was, being incarcerated, he did the best he could to teach me certain values and instill different beliefs in me the best that he could. And I remember one conversation we had, he said, son, he's like, you always want to be a man that keeps your word. Be a man of your word. And I was like, what does that mean? What is that? I don't know what that means. He's like, well, basically he's telling me when you make a promise, when you say you're going to do something, you do it, you act on it. And your word is bond. That's it. You said you're going to do it. It's over with, right? Consider it done. I remember after that conversation, that always stuck with me. I was like, okay, be a man of my word. If I make a promise, I keep it. It's so important because you are, number one, it's so easy to destroy your character and the respect that people could be giving you if you're not a man of your word. You told them that you're gonna, let's say you told your wife you're gonna clean the garage out. You told her you're gonna change that light bulb. You're gonna change their freaking air conditioning filters or whatever. You keep saying you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it when you get home. You're gonna do it after the game. You're gonna do it, whatever, right? Look, after the girls go to sleep, I'm gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna do it, bro. Be a man of your word. When you say you're gonna do something, she should understand. Your wife should understand that means it's basically done. He said he's gonna do this. It's over with, it's done. And it's going to be done by the time he said it's going to be done. And you'll gain more respect that way. You'll have more confidence in yourself because you'll understand, and your subconscious will understand that when you make a plan, basically that means it's going to happen. So think about what that's going to do for the future. If you say you're going to plan to make more money or build a bigger, empire or whatever, a better life for yourself, your subconscious knows that you've had all these little wins of making a promise and keeping it. So this is no different. You want to get that house that you want. You want to get that car you want. You want to go on that trip with your family that you want. You need to start by making small wins, by keeping little promises and keeping them. Other words, I should say, being a man of your word. And so that's really important. So these are just 5 things, guys. We got 30 of them. And so let me know in the comments if you believe this is something that we should make a series out of, where I just kind of go do every episode. Maybe I do a couple of different points like I did here. And so let me know if you felt this was valuable or not. And so that's it, guys. Drop a comment below if you believe that we should do this more often, if you want to hear what the other 25 points are. And then also if this brought you any value and kind of maybe some things that you feel that should be addressed or maybe added to the book for Squire when we start talking to the boys about some of these things of rules to live by. So anyways, we appreciate you guys as always. We'll see you next week. Take care.